4 kids. Did you always knew you wanted a big family?
No. So, I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it. And I had my eyes set on my goals. And I was never the little girl that like dreamt about the wedding dress and all of that. And then it happened so early in my life. So it's like, it's one of those things like you don't know what you actually don't know what you want.
Access granted.
Blessed ones, peace and praise. Welcome to the vibe. This is Blair, your Care Bear. Now, what you heard was Ayesha Curry on Call Her Daddy podcast. And I'm going to get right into it because, again, this is very important. You know, for people who know me, knows that I love women, respect women, and I do have a track record of being a ladies' man, not a womanizer, but I have a lot of female friends. And I really want to, you know, talk about something. It's been a crazy week in hip hop. You know, Nicki and Cardi, you know, just throwing shade at each other. And I'm gonna just say, you know, from my view, Nicki started it, but where it ended, it's like you don't talk about nobody's children. You don't talk about nobody's children. You don't. They both took it there, and I'm not. At first, it was funny and entertaining. At first, you know, I mean, I think we all love a good cat fight, but you know, when it starts getting, it was personal from the beginning. But when when you start bringing in other people, husbands and children, you know, that's going a little bit too far. So it's like this isn't even hip hop at this point. And I know a lot of people already talked about it, so I'm not going to talk much about it. I'm just going to say that I'm just, just disgusted, man. Like, regardless of how y'all feel about Cardi's music, about Nicki Minaj's presence in the game today, like I said, Nicki solidified. She has her jersey on the Raptors. Like, if she don't drop another album, you know, she's good. You know, like I said, one of my personal favorite rappers just all around. Not just women, but just all around. Honestly, her last project, I mean, I wasn't, too big on it, but, that's that. But with Cardi, like I said, she dropped her second album after 7 years, I want to say. And hey, again, I'm not the biggest Cardi B fan, but her album was dope. I listened to it, I heard it. I liked more songs than I disliked the song. So, shout out to Cardi. But, moving on, this is going to be a real quick episode because I do feel like there's certain points. Again, like I said in the beginning of the pod, that was Ayesha Curry talking. And she expressed that, she didn't want to have children. She didn't want to be married. And I didn't really look at the comments. I seen it on Twitter. But I'm going to just let everybody know this. That is normal. I'm not going to sit here and say it's right or wrong. Everybody has their preference and, they have their life. But that's normal for women, men, whoever, like women to not want children and then have them. There's people that I know personally who has multiple children and didn't even want one child. But at the same time, what I want to say is, and please forgive me, I uplift all these women in these trying times, whatever they're going through, mentally, emotionally, physically. I pray that the Lord touch their hearts and they overcome whatever that they're dealing with. Whether it's Ayesha Curry, because she's been saying a lot, and a lot of people have been giving her hell for her saying things, and it's like people always want to compare her to Savannah James, LeBron James' wife. But my thing is, hey, let them speak. I think we as fans and as consumers of just being online, we always talk about how Jada, Wada, or Ari, and like even Amber Rose, people who didn't really have, don't really have a name outside of who they was dealing with, who they had childs with. And me personally, I feel like, hey, if you can capitalize on the notoriety and the eyes on you, then capitalize. One thing that I'm big on is, if you're not hurting anybody, as long as it's legal, do what you do. Like, again, I have my own stance and, principles and everything, but like, we shouldn't hate or even have anything negative to say about, women who inspires to be more than just eye candy. Because I do agree, as far as when it comes to Ayesha Curry, she's not doing the Jada Pinkett Smith, but she's talking about, she has expressed many times how, how she doesn't really, people don't really try to talk to her and do that. And I'm like, you shouldn't want to. Like, you're married. And I understand the sentiment and what she was trying to say, but it's like, you really shouldn't want that. But, me as a man, as a parent, like I said, I understand completely, and I'm sure a lot of women would probably feel like they resonate with Ayesha more because, again, when you're dating somebody, when you're in a relationship with somebody, and y'all are doing what adults do. I mean, there's a lot of us aren't planned. I mean, but at the same time, nobody asked to be here. I say that all the time. None of us asked to be here. And whether you didn't want children or not, you have them and you got to take responsibility for them. So like I said, I think that's normal. Like, there's a lot of married people, happily married people, who might not have had wanted the life that they have, but at the same time they have it, and it's good, it's powerful. Like I said, sometimes the Lord will surprise you, because it goes back again to where it's like, it's not always about what we want. We can want whatever we want, but it's like they say, you want God to laugh, tell him what you have planned. And please forgive me if that's, the devil will perverse anything. And I always say it, I love my son. I wanted to be a father. And regardless of whether he particularly was planned or not, I am grateful for him. Me and his mother aren't together or married anymore, I'm going to say. But like I said, he's been a blessing in my life. He, being a father taught me a lot about myself, about things that I was struggling with before and even now today. So I think for me, even when I hear that, it don't make me cringe. This is more just so in a response to like a lot of people who may have something negative to say about it. And I will say this too before you know, before I go any further. More people care. And I'm just put it like that. And you probably might not never listen to this episode, but I will say that people really do care. I think because it's the internet and the social media, we're all, consuming, we're all being entertained. We use it but like I said, we use our platforms for what we use it for. But like I said, I'm somebody who cares about people. And whether it's my business, as far as like that don't have anything to do with me, but I'm just saying I care about people. So what they have going on might not be of interest of me, but what I'm saying is I care about people's well-being. I don't have to know you to care about you. I don't have to know you to love you. That's just me. That's just who I am. And whether I can explain that or not, it really doesn't matter. But I just also wanted to say that, and that's another thing as well. Like we get on social media and we joke around, we play, and we might do our rants, we might put up our memes, but again, it is still a platform where real people are getting online, cutting the rug, doing whatever they doing up there. These are real people. Now, there's also trolls and bots, but that shouldn't take away from the real people that's actually dealing with real things. Like I said, unfortunately, there are people who might not have that, they might be socially awkward, or they might be dealing with, certain mental health conditions, and they need to talk to somebody else besides the people online. But my thing, there was something in particular that I seen. It was something particular, social para, something like that. It was something that somebody had mentioned on Twitter the other day. I think it was called parasocial interaction, which is a kind of psychological relationship experienced by an audience in their meditated encounter. And that is really like a one-sided relationship. A lot of people on social media deals with that. And whether it's a mental illness or not, like, they're still real people. So one thing with me, where it's like I always talk about, and I said it in this documented where I talk about, the internet's the devil. And a lot of times, we put too much energy into, the internet a lot of times, where it's the same thing with real life as well. Like, where the presidency, what's going on in politics, these are real issues that's happening, but we're not physically in front of Donald Trump. We're not physically, on the front line. I mean, some people are, but it's the same thing. Just like when you're using your text messages and you're chatting with your friends in a group chat. That's all that is digital. Everything is digital. We're in the digital era. And I think sometimes we have to, give people a little bit more credit and grace. And it's really just something that I thought about, and I needed to address it, because like there's certain things that I don't allow to bother me, because people can have their view and opinion, but there's certain things where I'm like, well, when you have a big platform and you're known and you have notoriety, people are going to stand on it and believe it. And I think sometimes it is justified, but it can also be unfair. So like I said, for whoever this episode does reach, I just want y'all to know, like, Blair cares. And I'm only going to speak for myself. And I'm sure that there's other people out here like myself that cares about people. But like I said, I just don't really like the drama. I really just want to, read my Bible, raise my son, and just progress more and more. So just certain things, don't talk about anybody's children. Having a life that you didn't want is normal. It's okay. And, just remember that, us as humans, we're all progressing and learning. We got to unlearn certain things and relearn certain things. So with that said, I just want everybody to stay safe, stay productive, and positive. This is Blair, your Care Bear, and y'all be good. Come on now, my baby, got me on.